Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
The day is Wednesday. It is April 27th, 2022, and welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. As always, we begin our mornings with Black History. Dr. Carl Mack is out this week as he is preparing Black Heritage Days 5 and 6. We will continue the rest of the show with the rest of the team coming in. Rebecca Azor, DJ Xxclusive, Georgia Fort, the entire family. We're happy to be here streaming with you this morning. Let's begin. Hey, Google, what happened today in Black history?
On April 27, 1927, Coretta Scott was born in Marion, Alabama. Blessed with a beautiful voice, she had her choice of the Juilliard School in New York, or the New England Conservatory of Boston. In Boston, she met a young pastor, affectionately called M.L. Romance blossomed, and M.L. and C.S. became Mr. and Mrs. Martin Luther King Jr. Coretta led the efforts to make MLK Day a national holiday. Upon her death, Coretta Scott King was the first black person to lie in state at the Georgia State Capitol. Adapted from Black Heritage Day calendar by author, lecturer and civil rights activist Dr. Carl Mack.
And again, you can get a copy of Black Heritage Days 4, from which we read every morning. Behind every king, there is a queen, Coretta Scott King, in fact. Remembering her on this day, the day that she was born, I want to begin this episode and remind everyone that our phone lines are open. We want to engage with the audience a lot more. 301-715-8592. The user ID number is pinned to the chat room across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, wherever you're streaming. Good morning to you wherever you're streaming. Say hello to someone in the chat. I think we need to take a second to talk about what's happening in this country. We've taken an extensive amount of time to cover Ukraine and Russia, a lot of other issues, but I think we need to lay focus right on what's happening in Washington, D.C. January 6th never ended. I want to make sure that we're clear that there is an ongoing coup in this country. And it is not just a coup against Joe Biden and this particular administration. It is, in fact, a coup against the Constitution itself. We are at the stage of decline in the United States where one of the major parties, the Republican Party, sees the Constitution itself as an impediment to their power, to their political power. And so as we begin to discuss the need to chase these traitors out of the temples, quite honestly, that is the language that we need to carry going forward. We must chase these traitors out of our temples because they have no intention of doing anything other than overturning our rights. And in the backdrop of this, for some, what the Republican Party has done and continues to do is not enough. I want to turn our attention to not only Marjorie Taylor Greene, who represents the faction of the Republican Party that has decided to go all in. There is a civil war happening in the Republican Party. The majority of the Republicans seem to be fully in lockstep with Donald Trump. The Republican Party itself put out a statement saying that what happened on January 6th fell within the acceptable parameters of political speech and debate. I want to pause there before we play any media and help you to understand that we're dealing with a political party that has put out a statement saying that the attempted overthrow of our government on January 6th falls within the realm of acceptable speech. And it's to that end that we have to be mindful of characters like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin McCarthy, quite frankly, the House Minority Leader, who knew full well that Donald Trump was responsible for January 6th and needed to be held accountable for it. But that is not the language that we're getting out of these leaders at this time. No, Kevin McCarthy has gone on a rampage denying and essentially covering for Donald Trump. But when the rubber met the road, as these new audio tapes have been leaked and have been shared, rather, we see now that the Republican Party leadership knew exactly who was responsible for January 6th and the stakes. I want us to take a listen in to some of these audio clips now from Kevin McCarthy saying as much back in January. Let's take a listen in.
Details of Republican leader Kevin McCarthy's conversations in the days after January 6th were reported by Jonathan Martin and Alexander Burns of the New York Times in their upcoming book, This Will Not Pass. McCarthy, according to the book, was so upset with Trump's behavior, he told fellow Republicans, quote, "I've had it with this guy." McCarthy flatly denied the reporting, tweeting, quote, "The New York Times reporting on me is totally false and wrong." And the Republican leader's spokesperson told the Times, quote, "McCarthy never said he'd call Trump to say he should resign." But overnight, the Times reporters released audio showing McCarthy did exactly that.
What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to call him.
This, according to the Times reporters, was during a phone call with House Republicans hosted by Liz Cheney just days after the attack on the Capitol.
Are you hearing that he might resign? Is there any reason to think that might happen?
I've had some few discussions. My gut tells me no. I'm seriously thinking of having that conversation with him tonight. I haven't talked to him in a couple days. From what I know of him, I mean, you guys all know him too. Do you think he'd ever back away? But
McCarthy goes on to say he believed Trump would be impeached and possibly even removed from office by the Senate.
The only discussion I would have with him is that I think this will pass, and it would be my recommendation we should resign. I mean, that would be my take, but I don't think he would take it, but I don't know.
But weeks later, McCarthy's criticism of Trump had evaporated. He visited the former president at Mar-a-Lago just 3 weeks after January 6th.
That last part is so critical. It only took a few weeks for this to transition for Kevin McCarthy from an impeachable and an offense that would require his resignation all the way to covering for Donald Trump. And I want us to make sure that we see this progression. After January 6th, there was no correction of course. There was no steps backwards. There was no walking back. In fact, they doubled down. The Republican Party said that what happened on January 6th falls within the realm of acceptable political behavior. This is the difficulty of what we're facing. I want to play this next clip. This is from Ari Melber on MSNBC. This shows us not just Kevin McCarthy, but also Mark Meadows. He's covering 2,000 text messages that were provided by Mark Meadows and testimony others gave to the January 6th committee. Let's take a listen into MSNBC's Ari Melber.
The new evidence here from Congress in the probe of the insurrection. 2,000 newly leaked text messages, and it starts all in the Trump White House with the top remaining aide, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Now, CNN first obtained these texts that revealed how many Trump allies were plotting in and around, but perhaps most culpable from a criminal perspective, before January 6th. The texts come from Trump family members, Republican lawmakers, Fox News hosts, as well as some outlandish individuals pushing conspiracy theories. There are bombshells. Now, in the text messages to the White House, we also see communications between Trump's family, like Trump Jr., and the top staffer there trying to stop the mob from ransacking the Capitol. Donald Trump Jr. says, quote, "This is one you go to the mattresses on. They will try to blank his entire legacy on this if it gets worse." Trump's own son, in the moment, secretly talking to a staff member because apparently Donald Trump Jr. didn't understand how much his father would like, relish, appreciate, and cheer on that spectacle at the Capitol. Then there's heat on Sean Hannity because on Election Day, Hannity texts Meadows, "NC going to be okay?" Meadows says, "Stress every vote matters. Get out and vote." And Hannity responds, like any independent journalist would, I'm being sarcastic, quote, "Yes, sir." As for the states that need the most attention, Hannity digs himself deeper on it. Quote, "Any place in particular we, the supposedly independent media at Fox News, we need a push." The we is he doesn't even pretend to be talking or interviewing a source. He's just saying, let's work together to help Trump. And Meadows responds with more orders. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada. Hannity says, got it, everywhere. We can't tell because text tone is notoriously hard to read whether the everywhere itself was a little bit of a sarcastic jab because if you need help everywhere, you might be losing the election. The text also revealed Republicans urgently telling Meadows to get Trump to stop the violence. And again, this is something we've talked about in reporting on this horrific insurrection. As more of the Republican Party has warmed to this over time, we have the evidence, that's what's so unusual in this digital era, about how many even Republican lawmakers were concerned in the moment, not only for their own safety, but because they never apparently imagined this would be cheered on by so many people on the right. Trump was silent for hours. All of this coming with the new filing from a court filing where the debate is over how Trump White House officials received warnings before the insurrection that they were on notice about possible violence. One White House aide says Meadows received a briefing the day before, January 5th, from a Secret Service official. We had intel reports saying there could potentially be violence on the 6th. As for the fraudulent electors plan, same testimony says Trump was warned. The committee said to this staffer, to be clear, did you hear the White House counsel's office say this plan to have alternate electors meet and cast votes for Trump in states that he had lost was not legally sound? And the witness says, yes. Despite that advice, the plan moved forward. Now, the filing that we're using here for some of this reporting also says Republican lawmakers were involved. Meadows talked to many different conservatives, including Scott Perry, Jim Jordan, MTG, as earlier mentioned, and Lauren Boebert, about how to steal, potentially, or overthrow the race. Meadows handed over some of the evidence to the committee before infamously halting his cooperation, which is why the DOJ is deciding whether or not there's a case for indictment.
Now, all of these pieces add up to what's happening in real time. You have the Republican Party that has co-signed everything that happened on January 6th, stating that it is a part of the acceptable range of political debate. You have Republican leaders, Kevin McCarthy. You have Republican media infrastructures like Fox News, all working together with the president of, at the time, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, attempting to overthrow the government because they did not like the election results. This is a major problem. I want to move to Marjorie Taylor Greene and add one more detail to this. Marjorie Taylor Greene took the stand to testify against a group of Georgia voters attempting to stop the far-right Republican congresswoman from running for re-election under the 14th Amendment. The group says that Greene should be disqualified under the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution because she supported insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol on January 6. The 14th Amendment was passed by Congress in 1866, a year after the end of the Civil War, and ratified in 1868. It says, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or any other state, or any state rather, who having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. There is no question that this is exactly what took place on January 6th. And there's no question that actors like Marjorie Taylor Greene helped facilitate it. The only question that remains is whether or not there's going to be any accountability. I want us to take a listen into this clip as an analyst tells us what it would take to remove someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene using the 14th Amendment.
That said, an awful lot still has to happen before she's actually disqualified. The judge who heard the case on Friday first has to find that she engaged in insurrection or rebellion. That's a very high bar. If he makes that finding, it goes over to the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. We'll see whether he agrees. If he agrees, then Representative Greene gets to appeal it to the Georgia state courts, the trial court, the appeals court, the Georgia Supreme Court. And at the same time, Marjorie Taylor Greene can appeal this in the federal appellate courts and argue that the states don't have the right to disqualify her from running for federal office. So as bad as her testimony was, there still are many, many things that have to go against her to actually see her disqualified. The challengers have to prove that she engaged in or gave comfort to insurrection and rebellion, and just saying outrageous things, saying inflammatory things, that may well not be enough to constitute insurrection or rebellion. That's the question that's going to be before the various judges that I just laid out.
And that's the question at hand. Will there be any accountability? Is there a bar? Is there a bar that can be met by the white supremacists in this country that would trigger some accountability? This is really where we are. And I think the emphasis has to be here for amendment. I know we like to give a diversity of topics, and I don't particularly like to stay in American politics. I'd like to keep a focus on international issues, but it's very difficult to keep an eye on international issues when domestically we are being threatened from within. There is no existential threat outside of the United States. The threat is from within, and it resides with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump, -45, and all of his cabal who are more interested in maintaining power than facilitating a peaceful transfer of power. This is all about Donald Trump's ego and the people who want power. And so they are attaching themselves to Donald Trump. And that means that they're willing to get on the stand like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They mentioned her testimony. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene as she makes it very clear that not only is she a part of this, but she's a Neanderthal. Listen to her testimony as she tries to make her way through this.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene confronted by her own words about the January 6th insurrection. The Georgia Republican took the stand for a hearing that could end up disqualifying her from running again. In a 3-hour testimony under oath, Greene faced questions about her rhetoric and actions before the attack on the Capitol.
Ms. Greene, if somebody tried to unlawfully interfere with the process of counting the electoral votes, unlawfully, that person would be an enemy of the Constitution. Wouldn't you agree?
Interrupting Congress, like when the Democrats interrupted Congress and had a sit-in on the House floor and stopped Congress.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene went to the top of the White House, Chief of Staff Meadows, and said, quote, "In our private chat with only members, several are saying the only way to save our republic is for Trump to call for martial law. I wanted you to tell him." Taylor Greene also called on Meadows to have Trump declare martial law during the insurrection on the 6th. Here she was just 3 days ago, though, under oath.
Prior to the inauguration in 2021, did you advocate for martial law with the President of the United States, President Trump?
I don't recall.
In those meetings, you discussed with him your advocacy for the idea that there should be martial law declared in the United States.
No, I don't recall ever discussing that.
Well, are you saying it didn't happen, or are you saying you don't recall one way or the other?
I don't recall ever discussing that.
When did you first become aware that there were going to be large demonstrations in D.C. on the 6th?
I don't recall.
And who put it on your calendar?
I don't know.
Somebody on your staff, I take it?
I have no idea. I don't know. I do not recall that, no. I don't recall. I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't recall the exact days. I don't think so. I don't recall that at all. I don't know. I don't recall. That was the video, but I don't recall.
Prior to January 6th, Representative Greene, did anyone ever mention to you the possibility that there might be violence in Washington on January 6th, 2021?
I don't remember.
Okay. So it's possible that folks told you things could get violent in Washington on January 6th, right?
I was a brand new member of Congress. I don't remember those conversations, but I would hope Nancy Pelosi and those in charge of the Capitol were taking the Capitol security very seriously.
You believed that Joe Biden had lost the election to Mr. Trump, right?
Well, yes. We saw a tremendous amount of voter fraud. We have investigations going on right now in the state of Georgia. There's investigations going on in multiple states.
Do you believe the FBI was behind the January 6th violence at the Capitol?
I don't know. I certainly think there's a lot to be investigated.
The second page of the document.
The question now is whether or not we're going to allow these Neanderthals to bring down this democracy simply by saying, I do not recall. There is a lane, quite honestly, for them to accomplish this because this justice system has been set up to provide cover for people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's make no mistake. This system is set up to erect the worst of the worst amongst us. They elected Donald Trump to the White House. So this is a perfect world for someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene to be able to get on the stand and to country bumpkin her way through destroying this democracy. But she's not alone. She is not alone. The entirety of the Republican cabal that supports Donald Trump, there are some 30% of U.S. citizens who are ready to go with Donald Trump all the way to him overthrowing this government. So we have to pause and ask ourselves the question, when the Republican Party has control over the judiciary, thanks to Donald Trump, appointing some 83 justices and judges across the federal judiciary, with the Republican Party in position to come back into power in 2022, to take back the Senate or to take the Congress. And more importantly, when the Republican Party has houses across the entirety of this country, in every state houses, state Senate chambers, and the governor's offices, they are in a position to strike a fatal blow to our democracy. And to be quite honest with you, that is their goal. The phone lines are open. I want to hear what you think about this. The number is going to be on your screen. It's going to be in the chat rooms wherever you are. We're going to continue and expand this conversation going forward, because I want us to keep a laser-like focus on what is happening in real time around us. I think we have become desensitized to it, to be quite honest with you. I think we have gotten to a point where we are so comfortable with our politics being so absurd, so dysfunctional, simultaneously so absurd, so dysfunctional that we cannot preserve the lives of 1 million Americans during this pandemic. No, we, instead of doing what we could to reduce the number of deaths, this country did everything it could, particularly half of this country who refused to put on a mask. This is the absurdity of the moment. But it is not just that. We are dealing with people that this is not enough. It's not enough that during the pandemic, the wealthiest in this country facilitated the biggest wealth transfer we have ever seen on the face of this planet. The rich got extremely richer during the pandemic, while the essential workers were left to die, literally. That wasn't enough. They have to go even further, because that pesky thing called democracy continues to stand in their way. For someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, democracy is an impediment. For someone like Donald Trump, democracy, which put him out of office, is an impediment. And to so many of the Republicans, they are finding that the Constitution itself is an impediment to their political and economic goals. And so what do? They throw it out the window. They have no problem whatsoever overthrowing this entire country for the sake of their ego, their ambition, and their political and economic power. They will overthrow this country for their political power. And if the Democratic Party doesn't get this, if those people who are running for office this time around do not get this, then I fear 2022 might be the very last domino. I think 2022 coming up is going to be the last domino, especially if we do not have a fierce opposition to this Republican Party machine that is ready to take over this. In fact, they have every position in place. They've even got Twitter now. We've been talking about Elon Musk purchasing Twitter. We're going to cover that a little bit more on o'clock later on in this episode, but I do want you to chime in on that. When we consider the number of people who are celebrating, specifically the people who are celebrating, the Trumps of the world who are celebrating, the Heritage Foundation, a Republican organization, they are celebrating Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter. When we look down the line, this is something that the fascists and the Republicans in this country are celebrating. Why? Because they know full well that Twitter is one of the last places where actual free speech could foment to the top of the algorithm. Well, now that algorithm is owned by Elon Musk, and the data and all of your data is owned by Elon Musk personally. It is no longer a public company. I want to take this caller. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hello?
You're on the air. What's your name?
Hi, this is Tyler again.
Good morning, Tyler. What's on your mind, my friend?
So, first of all, on the January 6th stuff, I know you were on Elon Musk. I don't truly feel like anyone's ever going to be held accountable, or at least the ringleaders and those that started it, or initiated the attack on our democracy. I think there's still going to be like prosecutions of the people that took part in it, but ultimately those who orchestrated the attack I don't think are ever really going to be held accountable, because when you're rich and powerful, I think it's obvious that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's just not going to happen.
Yep. Tyler, that's the fear, that's the concern, and that's what we absolutely have to watch out for if the powerful are not held accountable in this country. I mean, and this is really what we're dealing with. January 6th is whether or not we can hold our political leaders accountable for absolutely anything. Can they get away with overthrowing the government? Donald Trump said that he could get away with shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue. Well, it looks like he could get away with overthrowing the government as well. We have to take it to a quick break. When we come back, we'll be on the clock. It's in the hands of DJ Xxclusive. More of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show right after this break.
Good morning, everybody. Shout out to all of you, man. You know the voice, you know the sound. It's your boy James Bubba Williams, DJ Xxclusive, is in la building, la playa, la place, you know. All right, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Make sure that you stay tuned. We got more coming up next here on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. On the clock with Jordan Ford. Coming up next. Good morning. Good morning, Mama and Daddy. Love y'all, mean it. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Silver City Socialist, A.R. Walker, Ben Cycle Dragon, what's going on? Mary C, Kitty Muse, Iris Jones, good morning. Melanie Dennis, what's going on? Boondocks Dragon, Good Crap, good morning. I see everybody this morning, y'all. Good morning, y'all. Tyler Hackner, good morning. Thank you for calling in as well, too. Jay Dragon, good morning. Snack Panther, I know you're in there somewhere. Good morning, brother. Brother Lateef, what's going on? Good morning, Malia. Hope you're not giving Daddy a hard time this morning, but if you are, that's okay. Give him a hard time. It's all right. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Good morning. Moon Meat, good morning. Stephanie Rampley, Infinite Content, what's going on? Ezra, good morning to you. Shelby H, Emily French, good morning. Shout out Elon Musk, who bought Twitter for $43 billion. All I did was just download it for free from the App Store. I don't know what the hell he was trying to do. Ism Onassis, good morning. Elizabeth Maza, good morning. What's Productions, what's going on? Hey, Miss Sophia, good morning. Oh, wait, that's the same song. Okay, wait a minute. Laser Sword, good morning. Lily, good morning. Y'all make sure you stay tuned, man. On the Clock is coming up next, so y'all stay tuned. You can't break my focus. All I got right now is attention. Don't forget, y'all, it's going down Friday night. I have figured out how to do karaoke. So we are having a karaoke party Friday night. You do not want to miss it. If you can sing, cool. If you can't sing, that's even better. It makes it even all that more fun. Have your ass there Friday, 9 p.m. You do not want to miss it. We're going to be singing all night long. And if we're not singing in, we're just going to be partying. So make sure that you be in place on Friday, man. You don't want to miss it. Nation Party Karaoke Edition. Roll the Dragon, we have figured out a way to do all of that, where everything is in sync. And I'm not talking about bye either. Snack Panther, love you too, sir. Snack Panther says Bubba Bartholomew Williams. I love it.
Every time I drink, I catch it. I know how to make it happen.
Okay. That's right, Boondocks Dragon. Come on. You ain't old. You just young, old adjacent. There we go. That's what we are. We are old adjacent.
All I need is more. All I need is all I need is more. All I need is all I need is more. All I need is all I need is all I need is more. All I need is all I need is more.
Laura Strada, good morning. And to the person who stole my place in the queue, I'm after you now.
Every time I know how to make it happen.
Six Dragon Dad. Hey, you can still do the karaoke version. It's okay. As long as it has the lyrics, we can link it up and you can sing it. There you go, Silk City Socialist. I'm not old, but wise. That's right. I'm really, really wise.
What you've been mixing, serve it up the way you please. I love the way you shake, you stir, you heat, you squeeze. So thick. Push up and butter me. Push that, shake that, smack that, mix that, marinate that. We don't need a recipe. With that cream, baby, pour that sweet honey, baby, shade up. We can cook up, we can syrup when we cook up just you and me. With that cream.
Tiger, good morning to you. It's okay, it's karaoke. Anything that people sing never matches what the vibe is, so you can sing it.
Almost ready, we've been craving, it's our week. Baby, you want it.
John, good morning to you.
Like fun, it's gotta be honest. You're on it, and this ain't no time to be modest. Hope that, push that, shake that, girl, take your last name, let's hyphenate that. We don't need a recipe.
All right, y'all, I know y'all have been enjoying the dad jokes and the music, but right now, we are on the clock. Let's get it, let's go. Good morning.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. We are on the clock. Coming up in this segment, we'll be speaking with Dr. Stephanie Rose Spalding on her run for Congress. She'll be joining us at 8:45. Good morning to everyone across all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You could join the conversation this morning by calling in. The number will be across your screen, 301-715-8592. Good morning to you, DJ Xxclusive. We appreciate what you're doing over there, man. How's it going with you?
Pretty good, sir. How about you?
It's going, man. It's going. I was in and out of the dad jokes. Y'all were having a good party this morning with us already without me, but that's okay. I'll catch up on the next break.
Right.
We having I heard what I wanted to ask about actually was you figured out a way to get karaoke going.
Yeah. I mean, it's not difficult, and okay. It's pretty simple. Basically, I can share the screen, and there's a website that people can go to called Watch Together, and that website syncs everything: music, microphone, everything. I did a little small test yesterday, but I'm going to widen the test later today, maybe tomorrow, so then we can make sure that it's working correctly. But it's real easy to do. People will be able to get in queue. I can type in what song they want, looking for, and they want to sing. Nice. They can unmute their mics, and the hardest thing is going to be getting people to unmute their mic, but that won't be a problem. Yeah.
Actually, no, that is a problem in this pandemic. It's still 2020. Everyone is still on mute in Zoom. So, but no, it sounds like a great idea, man. I'm going to be there. We encourage all the people who cannot sing. We want you to come especially because that does actually make it a lot more fun. Georgia Ford is not with us the last couple of days. She has been out. on location, covering stories, so many important issues, and we have quite a bit of her footage. I want us to take a minute to go over some of the things that Georgia has been doing while she's been away from the morning show. This first clip is of Resma Menakem, and I know without a doubt that I did that name wrong. Please forgive me. And this is a clip of what is being described as one of the most profound, powerful, and perceptive voices of our time. He is considered to be a healer, an author, and a trauma therapist. And Georgia is interviewing him here about his new book, The Quaking of America. And it is a defining, cultural, shifting piece of literature that surveys America's deteriorating democracy and offers embodied practices to help us protect ourselves and our country. I think it's an important conversation. Let's take a listen to this interview with Georgia Ford.
In The Quaking of America, you talk about the GOP inciting a civil war by inciting a collective trauma response. Talk about that.
Right. I'm gonna just say, so when I talk about the GOP inciting a war, and inciting specifically a racialized war, having very racialized pieces to it. I think about it about when I was watching the January 6th attempted coup, right? I'm sitting there watching that, and there's a part of me that knows this is getting ready to be crazy. Right, I'm watching what people starting to show up. White people starting to a lot of white. Like when a whole lot of white people start showing up to an event, in my black body, I'm like, this could go bad really quickly. Right, specifically around democracy, around votes, around legislature, right? I'm sitting there watching that, and then I start to see the gallows being erected, right? I'm like, wow, that's so we're reaching back, and now we got a hangman's noose. Now I'm starting to see the Auschwitz signs. Now I'm starting to see AR-15s. Now I'm starting to see weapons. Now I'm starting to see people kick out windows. Ain't nobody dead yet? Ain't nobody shot nobody yet? Why are they allowing this to happen? So as I'm watching this, there's both this kind of I'm simultaneously holding this thing like this is curious and disbelief that all of these white bodies are beginning to do things and hearken back to particular points in our culture and in our history, right? The noose. The Auschwitz, all these particular pieces, right? And nothing's happening. Nobody's moving in to stop it. Everybody, right? Everybody's leaning towards giving white people a lot of comfort.
Doc, I got to see the rest of that interview, James, because I'm glad somebody else sees it. Like I sometimes, matter of fact, Brother Mac last week said, Brother Ben, I sometimes thought you were going crazy over there with your right-wing conspiracy. And I'm like, no, man, he sees it now, right? And listening to that interview, it's important that we have people in positions that understand very clearly the stakes, because as he said at the very end there, James, there's a lot that's coming from this white supremacist strain in America, but nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's stopping. In fact, they're going further. They're getting more emboldened. They're getting louder and prouder with their racism and their dangerous rhetoric. What do you think, man?
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely right, Ben. You see that all the day with the appropriation of our culture and our white counterparts. I
was waiting. Waiting on
white. Oh my gosh! And in the after parties today, we probably have a video that shows the appropriation of our culture.
Oh man! Listen.
Oh my gosh! I saw it. That segue is off the chain.
I saw. That was you know what? I saw that video, and I know what video you're talking about. What she was rapping? Was she rapping "Da Baby" or "Lil Baby"? I can't remember which baby she was rapping. Yeah, Lil Baby. It was one of the babies she was rapping. We'll play that in the after party. In the meantime, I want to shift gears a little bit here. Our guest is here already. Dr. Stephanie Rose Spalding, who is running for Congress. She's running for Congress in Illinois' 1st District. I had the pleasure of speaking with her first on the Nomiki Show. Good morning to you, Dr. Spalding. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We are wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us this early in the morning. Tell us about yourself and your run.
I'm sorry, but I actually cannot hear Benjamin.
Okay, not a problem. I'll keep talking until you can hear me a little bit clearly. I wanted you to tell us a little bit about your race, your candidacy, and your campaign there in Illinois.
Fantastic. Yes, I am running for Illinois' 1st congressional district. For those who do not know, it is the district that Bobby Rush has been the congressperson for the last 30 years. It is also the district that Barack Obama lost to Bobby Rush when he was first trying to enter into federal government. And it is one of the first minority majority districts in the country. So I am running to bring back the investment and love and hope to the district that I grew up in, where I was born and raised, and where my family is still very integral in this district.
I had a chance to speak with you on the Nomiki show, and you were talking about the economics of your campaign, the economic policies that you're fighting for, working class people, fighting for infrastructure. Tell us about some of the things you're fighting to bring to that district.
Absolutely. Like, we are in such a disparate space, right? There are some parts of the district where, because the people don't necessarily look like us, where investment has really thrived. But then there are other spaces, like right up the block from me, where there used to be really strong economic corridors on the south side of Chicago that have not been revitalized in decades. There are just tremendous food deserts. There is a vacuum of jobs specifically in this district throughout certain zip codes, where Inglewood, Auburn Gresham, Roseland, West Pullman, those places where you have had white flight and banks to leave. And so for me, it is, how do we make sure that opportunities and resources are equitable, especially from the federal government? We talk about infrastructure. Transportation is one of the worst in this part of the city as well as the state. And so again, for me, when we think about what is just, what is right, especially for Black communities and minoritized communities, it is returning that investment to our neighborhoods and to our communities so that we have equal opportunity across the board.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. You're representing, or you would be representing, the South Side of Chicago. You mentioned Bobby Rush, former Black Panther activist, just all around civil rights icon. Talk to us about that intersection of economics as well as the racial fight, because what you described there on the South Side of Chicago in the 1st District, it sounds a lot like Jacksonville, Florida. It sounds a lot like certain parts of Atlanta, James. Right. There are food deserts. There's lack of opportunity, and obviously we know wherever there's lack of economic opportunity, we see increased crime rates. Tell us about that intersection.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So first, contextually and historically, this is the space where you had Black people who were fleeing the racism of the South. This was where they were drawn to in the Great Migration. And even prior, there's even a stop on the Underground Railroad here in this specific part of the district. And so there's this connection historically to the institutionalized racism that is built in, caked into American society. And so there are also, in more recent times, histories where there are high schools in this district where, people that I know, my grandparents could not attend. They could not be caught in parts of this district at certain times. But then again, you had the Great Migration, you had integration happening, and what ended up happening was a lot of white flight once Black and brown people started to move in the late 60s and the late 70s. When you watch A Raisin in the Sun, they're really talking about what is happening and going on in the housing market of Chicago on various parts of the city, but it's happening right here on the South Side. And we have the remnants of that institutionalized racism that has kept economic prosperity and wealth building, where Black people thought buying a home would be their gateway into building wealth for their families. Now you have families that are losing value in their property because there are no banks, there are no businesses, there is no economic value surrounding the community. And so crime rates are increasing, and all of that matters, which is why the work that I do at the federal level really speaks to truth and conciliation work. We saw Harvard taking accountability yesterday, but it's not enough. This entire country needs to take accountability for the impacts of institutionalized racism on our communities and the effects that we are still living with.
All right. You know what, James, I don't know how we do it on this show. I might have to just thank the producer or the algorithm, because we end up finding the dopest Black women coming through, snatching. I mean, because Dr. Spalding, like, you said a word there. Right. And I think what's so frustrating for a lot of Black people, particularly, is that we've sent a lot of people to Washington, D.C. who look like us, but we ain't got nary a thing in return. Right. So, like, how do you convince us and the people listening? Because you're saying everything right. But how would you convince someone who is disillusioned because of how many Black faces we have in high places, but they ain't doing nothing for us?
I would say listen deeply, right? That people's track records should demonstrate the kind of fruit that they will produce. That's the scripture, right? I'm also a pastor, right? That a tree is known by its fruit. I have been working in truth and conciliation practices for years I literally am a critical race theorist. So all of this conversation that people are now coming to, I've been doing for decades. And I not only know the research. When people are asking, well, we need to do a study. We don't need to do a study. We need to actually do the work that repairs the harm of institutionalized racism and policies that are built in white supremacist ideology. Like, we know folks' track records. So listen to them deeply, look at the fruit that they have produced in their past. And that's who we should send into these spaces that have access to power. If they've done nothing previously, they're not going to do anything differently going forward.
Dr. Stephanie Rose Spalding, tell everyone how they can support your campaign.
You can support our campaign in a multitude of ways, 3 specifically. First, find us online at spaldingforcongress.com. You can volunteer virtually. You can volunteer in person. You can also donate to our campaign, because the other piece is Black women are the least funded when they are running for office at every single level. So if you're watching right now, even if it's a $5 donation, we need your support so that we can get in these seats.
Wow. Dr. Spalding, yes, thank you so much. Like, I honestly probably would ask 3 or 4 more questions, but I know you have a hectic schedule. But I will say this, James, hey, man, let's take a road trip. Let's go up and volunteer in the 1st Congressional District and help us. Somebody, let's get up there and knock on some doors, because Dr. Spalding, I absolutely love what you're saying.
Absolutely. And I've never been to Chicago either. So I would love to go, and I would do my best to get there. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. We'll love to have you back soon.
Thank you.
I want to shift gears here and go back to some of the reporting here from another dynamic Black woman. James, we blessed with, we surrounded by some pretty dope Black women, Doc.
Man, yes, we are, Ben. Yes, we are. Black women, Black women rock, man. I love it. Black woman magic, not Black girl magic, Black woman magic. I love it.
That Black grown. I like the auntie magic, man. It's the aunties. Bring out the aunties for me. But the Black woman, grown woman magic that can change your life. It's highly recommended. I digress. I want to move on to another dynamic Black woman. This is another clip from our sister Georgia Fort. Yesterday, she wasn't with us because she was attending the first Black-owned bank opening up in Minnesota. First Independence Bank opens in the Twin Cities. This is the first Black-owned bank in Minnesota, opened its doors yesterday morning, and it is a Detroit-based company that has been around for 52 years and received support from 5 corporate-owned banks. Let's take a look at this grand opening that Georgia Fort was a part of yesterday.
And being a first black-owned bank reminds us of banks being beacons of hope. What you've seen with the collaboration with the 5 banks, Bank of America, Bremer Bank, Huntington Bank, Wells Fargo, and U.S. Bank, is that when we work together, we can do things that can be unprecedented, like today's historic announcement. So we're very grateful for being here today representing a black bank, the first in Minnesota.
We're black owned, but we're not black only. We're hopeful that we can grow relationships with anyone. And that's important because, I've been personally asked by folks that don't look like me, well, can I bank with you since you're a black owned bank? Well, absolutely. Because it gives us the resource and the capacity to really be effective in the spaces that we're trying to go.
So as Lieutenant Governor, I have the honor to welcome you officially to Minnesota. I'm incredibly excited that we can say in both Michigan and Minnesota, we have this incredible institution.
We're about to really rewrite the history books, not just with the historic move of a black-owned bank coming to the state of Minnesota to service the Twin Cities metro area, but how it came together, right? How you got 5 large institutions that parked their logos at the door, and they came together and supported the whole initiative of partnering and bringing a black-owned bank here.
What an exciting day. We are so delighted to be welcoming First Independence Bank to our community. This is just wonderful. I was part of a group from U.S. Bank that worked together with Wells Fargo, Huntington, Bremer, and Bank of America, all of us collaborating to provide the resources required to help First Independence come to this community, because we are all so passionately committed to creating an environment in this community where everybody can thrive and where we address the racial wealth gaps that existed for too long in this community.
First Independence Bank has been around now we're approaching 52 years, serving the underbanked, the unbanked, and specifically people of color. We're a resource with solutions, and we're hopeful to partner with underbanked and unbanked communities to serve and give them access, creating home ownership, which will lead to generational wealth.
Oh, man. Shout out to Georgia Ford for that wonderful.
The chat room is going crazy over that guy.
The last guy?
I'm sorry.
He was so excited. I've never been excited about any bank the way that man. I don't think I've been excited about anything the way that white man was excited about his bank right there. But I'm sorry. It was amazing. Listen. Don't charge it. Take down Georgia Ford's name. Because we're sitting in the background, like, okay, so shout out to First Independence Bank. Like, that is a great, the black-owned bank
that's awesome.
Is definitely needed, especially when you look specifically how black people have been intentionally alienated and targeted, redlined out of wealth. And there's nothing that we can do in this system. The entire time that clip was playing, the socialist in me was just twitching, just like, it was, but there's literally nothing that we can accomplish here without the proper funding, without the right manpower and boots on the ground. So shout out to the bank. And I'm trusting that as they carry that label of black owned, that they will address specifically those things that black people have faced historically with all of those banks that are now partnering with them, including Wells Fargo and Bank of America. So, all of my socialism senses were tingling, but still, at the end of the day, if we do not have the resources to accomplish what we need to accomplish, then we're going to continue to see black communities dilapidated with all of the talent in the world, but no resources. So shout out to Georgia for going there and getting this coverage yesterday. Absolutely. What were they saying in the chat?
It was like, sure, dude.
I was like,
right. But it is awesome. I know we do have a black bank here, and I cannot remember the name of it. And it used to get frowned upon so much, but over the past few years, it's grown so much actually that it's become one of the top banks here in Georgia. So I think it's real good. I know it's going to go far. I mean, I hate that you heard those other names, those other bank names. Like
I was like, oh, not Wells Fargo. Not Wells Fargo that opened up millions of fraudulent accounts. But you know what? And let them do something good.
And not
for a
only
change.
that,
let them do something
but
good for a
also
change.
giving black people a hard time.
That's right.
Right. Exactly, Dwayne.
Right. That's right. You know what? We'll feel a lot better. Put a couple of more zeros behind their funding, and we'll forgive you, Wells Fargo. Drop them. Open up a whole new line, like $1 billion of line for them, and then we'll forgive you for all the other stuff. And then for those overdraft fees that you put everyone through, Bank of America, the class action lawsuit where millions of people had to sue because Bank of America was rearranging those purchases. Remember that back in the day? Bank of America would take your biggest purchase and put it first, so that every time you went to Starbucks, McDonald's, everything that was like $2 end up costing you $40. Bank of America did that for years. So I think also you need to pour more money into the black community just to make a penance for all that you've exploited from the black community. Ooh, Lord, y'all get me out of this segment before we go even further. James, this is a good spot as any. I think we're at the top of the hour. We got a lot of more clips, a lot of more black woman magic. I like the way you changed that. It ain't black girl magic. It's grown auntie magic. Coming back on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show after this break. We'll be back.
Will somebody say TT magic?
TT magic.
TT.
Got it.
You know what? There has to be a black thing, because I think every black family, they didn't call it auntie, whatever. They called them TT. All right, y'all. Make sure that you stay tuned. Like it or not, it's starting up next. It's about to go down here on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. Stay tuned, y'all. Good morning, everybody.
Don't let nobody get close to me. My heart is right, don't question my integrity. No, I thought we would be just
Marvin
fine.
Jones, good morning to you. Alicia, good morning.
Let me find out. You've been going around throwing
And yeah, we were not taking calls in that last segment. Y'all was trying to blow the phone lines up. I'm like, calm down. This not yet. We got a guest. Calm down. We'll see. We may be taking calls next segment, but we'll see how that goes. We got a lot of stories to get through, so make sure y'all stay tuned. And Mother, good morning to you. I spoke already, but you were working. I don't like this working stuff,
You've been
Mother.
saying about me, true. Tell them I need my money right now.
Laverne, good morning to you. Cardi, good morning. Gwen Singerful, good morning to you as well. Tracy Jones, good morning.
I know my value. I'm gonna recoup it. Don't waste my loyalty. I let you in back then because I couldn't see. But now it's clear you ain't ever been true to me. My intuition ain't ever lied. I had to leave.
Katrina, good morning to you. I know I see Kareem in there as well, too. Good morning, Kareem. P. Good morning, B. Teresa, good morning to you.
I'm on a mission. Trying to block my blessings, but no need for comparisons. What's from me won't be from me. Yeah, I'ma go through just to grow through. But pay me what you owe me for. I make what you've been saying about me true. Tell them I need my money.
G-Man, good morning.
Rob me the juice, they stole out my crown. Sorry to tell you, I know my value. I'm gonna recoup it. Don't waste my.
Hey, so I recently joined the nudist colony. The first few days were the hardest.
I could really use a change of scenery. Yeah, everybody smoking all the greenery. Yeah, clothes and matches they were handed down to me, but I'm still fly. I know. I'm still fly. Let's go. It could all be worse. I could be a hater like you.
Freddie, good morning to you. Sarah AP, good morning. Ken BX, good morning. Industrial Arts, is this a replay? Does this look like a replay? Industrial Arts, what's going on, sir?
Say it with your chest now. I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now.
Hollywood, what's going on, Hollywood? Hollywood swinging, yeah. Promises manifested, good morning.
I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here
Matt Letterhack is in the building. What's going on, Matt? Good morning to you. T Tweety 01. What's going on?
Cheers to all the haters, cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. You can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly, I know.
Big Piece, good morning to you.
Let's go. It can all be words, I could be a hater like you. It could all be words. Close to make the man, but that boy the
Greg, good morning.
From the inside out, it's time to say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody.
So I bought a dog off a blacksmith yesterday, and as soon as I got home, it made a bolt for the door. Man, I don't get it.
I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take.
They are flowing today. I swear there is.
And now, it's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Oh, if you're on the bus, say yeah. Yeah. If you're on the train, say yeah. Yeah. If you gotta walk, say yeah. Yeah. Everybody's going somewhere. Yeah. Young or old, I really don't care. Yeah.
Reagan, did you say more? Okay, cool. What do you call a zombie who writes music? A decomposer.
I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out.
Mara Cerise, good morning.
It's my time to ride.
True, good morning to you, True.
I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out.
Unfortunately, my obese period just died. But it's a huge weight off my shoulders. Going to hell. Y'all stay tuned, like it or not. It's coming up next, y'all. You don't want to miss it.
Sticks and stones.
Brenda Johnson, good morning.
But your words can't hurt me.
Alicia, there you go throwing tomatoes at me. I love you too.
I ain't been right.
That's right, y'all. Y'all blame Cragen for that. He wanted more and I gave him more.
No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no. I know it's hard to be polite, and it's easy being petty. My mama used to tell me, gotta use you when you ready. Man, it's crazy how my brother said it could have been my cell. It's either prison or a grave. That's what everybody tell me. Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, though I still might fall. Oh yeah, now I done came through, knocking pictures off you walls. Loving people who persecute you, it's still a tough light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel like disrespect, help me turn my other cheek.
Why did the musician's wife file for a divorce?
They break my bone, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me.
She was sick of the domestic violence.
Right. More than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No,
that is terrible. Angela Ada, good morning to you. Tell her I can do that, I think.
No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me.
My dad said, son, stay out of the strip clubs or you might see something you shouldn't. And he was right. I went in and I saw him.
Got no diamonds on me, but I stay shining.
Yeah.
They say the world would be a better place if we take out the hate. Stop all the hate right now.
Carmen, I know Carmen, killing me too.
Yeah. So be a light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong.
Okay, last one. Okay, I promise. Okay. I once got free cake from a Haunted Freaks bakery. That place gave me the creeps.
But your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No.
Shout out to T for the super chat. Big shouts to Mr. Matt Strackmine, being aka Letterhead. So you love, Lion. So you love.
No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. We would light it up, but the time is 9:06, and we got to get this out the way.
Yeah. Y'all know what time it is. Good morning, y'all. Get your coffee, your tea, drink whatever it is you need. It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. 9 a.m. to 10:30, yeah. Like It or Not is on your channel, yeah. Politics and culture is we change skin like we supposed to, yeah. Interviews and all the news, we get to choose what gets the views. Like It or Not with Queen Azor, get started now, so stick around.
Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, Rebecca Azor is coming through. You know she got a good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's my dog. This is his show. He's a politics
Struth the Dragon. Okay, Struth said, joke. What do you call a singing laptop? Adele.
DJ Xxxclusive.
God damn it, Struth. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a damn good one.
I stay dropping them jams.
Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, like it or not, it's starting now.
Mama, go to work.
Like it or not,
it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
I forgot the best.
I missed it. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. And he literally said the mics were open and I went on a diatribe. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
Not care who doesn't like it.
It is Wednesday, not August, what month is this? April 27th, 2022.
Damn.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to skip ahead a couple of months. Anyway, James, how's it going with you this morning? I know we're waiting on the Queen to get here, but we are at her disposal when she arrives.
The Queen is always late. It's just like by the time she get here, it's gonna be the end of the show. But I digress.
And then she'll be ready to go over stories that we already went over.
We can already cover.
Oh man, any person. I understand my wife now, because anyone who spends more than like 2 hours with me, I realize every single morning you guys spend about 2 hours with me, and you see how, James, how I go from this serious, it's the end of the world, all the way to like, we will literally laugh about anything. It doesn't matter how juvenile, it doesn't matter how gutter bucket, like it's the full range of emotions that you get with me any given morning.
Ben will go from UFOs in the sky and Area 51 to he ain't got no goddamn sense.
To talking about voting rights, right?
Talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, or Chris Rock slapping, you know what I'm talking about, see?
Or the baby,
Or the baby.
Gunning down people in Walmart.
And Megan Thee Stallion getting a pinky toe shot off. Goddamn.
It shot me in my pinky toe.
Shot me in my pinky toe.
But you know what? All jokes aside, no, I will set that joke aside because I don't want to make light of what happened to Megan Thee Stallion. Even though you set that up perfectly for Harlem Nights, I don't want to make light because, one, Megan is a human being, and then two, Megan is the baddest
humble human
rapper
being
in the game right now.
Right. And she's done so much good and everything, especially graduating from Texas Southern University. So yeah, that's a real queen. She's done rapping, doing everything that she's done, graduated college. So y'all can't say nothing bad about me.
I've never actually felt bad about my height in my life, James, ever. I never really cared that I was 5'7". Until I realized Megan was 5'10" without the stilettos on. So I'm like, man, what? I wish I was a little bit taller. But shout out to her. Let's get to some news before I get canceled this morning. It's always a race to see who's going to get canceled first on this show. How edgy will we actually allow ourselves, or will we try to play by the rules? Let's actually go. David, I'm going to hold that story for a little bit later, because that's not the kind of place I want to land that sentence. I want to talk about Harvard. Dr. Spalding on the last segment mentioned that Harvard was actually going to take some accountability, and I'd say that with quotations around it, for their ties to slavery. Harvard is committing $100 million to address its ties to slavery. The announcement follows an extensive report that articulates how Harvard was patronized by men who were made wealthy through slavery. According to the Creation Committee's report, the Legacy of Slavery Fund is a, quote, necessary predicate to and a foundation for redress. The fund stops short, this is the part, the fund starts short of calling for monetary reparations to the descendants of those who lived life as an enslaved person. This is a quote, the fund will perpetuate research, create more opportunities for people of color, and seek to memorialize those who were enslaved and honor their memories by creating connections to their descendants, said Dr. Stephen Beckett, Harvard historian, via the New York Times. So they're going to study, they're going to commemorate, but they're not going to run them their money, James. What are your thoughts?
Who determines how much is enough? Who determines that? Like $100 million. Did y'all just come up with that? Well, let's give them $100 million. That'll make them happy. I think it probably should be a little bit more than that. Just give us the university. We're cool. Make it HBCU. Harvard HBCU. How you think?
Harvard HBCU. I like that idea. Matter of fact, since you're not going to give reparations, which I don't understand, because if you're going to commit $100 million, do you know what $100 million would do for the descendants of slavery, for that group, for that descendants of enslaved people, rather? Actually, I like to say more precisely, the descendants of survivors of slavery, because our ancestors were survivors of that shit. But I digress. That money, specifically targeting the descendants of the white men who got rich at Harvard off of their slaves. Like, we're not talking about all of African Americans, of all the descendants. We're talking about those specific people who are tied to Harvard. They have receipts. James, before I even finish that thought, I want to make sure this is not a mystery. We know exactly the men they're talking about. Look at the founding fathers. How many of them went to Harvard or connected to Harvard and owned slaves? So we know exactly the men. And we know the slaves that they owned, and finding their descendants would not be difficult. $100 million for that small group of people would change their lives and change the course. But instead of giving the money to the people, they're going to have services and commemorations. Okay, cool. Nice. Then the least you can do is make sure every black person goes for free. Go ahead.
What are they researching? What research?
How bad they were? What research? Yeah.
What research?
I don't know.
We already know everything. What are we researching?
I don't know. So what that translates into is that some probably white historian is going to get funding to research slavery at Harvard. I mean, yeah, I know people are like, oh, you can't satisfy these guys. You can't give them nothing. You can't just give us anything and expect us to be excited about it. That's the difference.
Right.
Here's a story that I definitely want to get Rebecca to chime in on, and we'll circle back when she gets here. There's a new survey that finds employees would rather seek different employment than go back to the office during the midst of this pandemic. Al Jazeera is reporting a new survey from payroll services company ADP, finding employees everywhere are demanding more security and flexibility. This has been intensified by COVID-19 and tight labor markets. Employees are holding fast to their demands as employers are trying to bring them back to the office. Surveying nearly 33,000 people worldwide, ADP found almost 2/3 of them would look for a new job if they felt forced to return to the standards on a variety of fronts, or rather return to the office. The pandemic has sparked a rethink of priorities. This is good. This is the best part about this, man. A rethink of priorities, and workers are signaling a willingness to walk away if employers don't meet their standards on a variety of fronts. Shout out to workers everywhere who are refusing to put up with this crap from their employers.
Yeah, and it's real because here it is. You were telling us that our jobs, we can't do our jobs from home, but here it is. During the pandemic, we whole ass set up our home life and brought work life into it. So it can be done. After y'all telling us that it can't be done, it can be done. And now, because they're throwing out this narrative that everything is back open and it's safe, you want me back in the office. And my ass will quit in a heartbeat if you make me try to come back in office. As many people that are out here hiring people and doing everything, I can find another job with no problem. But you're not going to force me to come back in a place where I could potentially still get sick. The pandemic is still here, people. It's not
going anywhere. It's a whole ass pandemic.
Okay, so I'm not rushing to get back into the office. My boss and I had that conversation. When are we going to see you? Probably not going to see you. Special occasions. You know what? I give you special occasions. If we have a client visit, I'll show face.
February.
One day.
February
32nd.
You'll see me then.
Okay.
It's a method of control. Going into the office is a method of control. In fact, we all do know working from home is far more efficient. I don't know if anyone's done a statistical study of it, but anyone who's done it knows that you spend far less time wasting time at the water cooler, talking with your neighbors, or your neighbors talking to you. I never forget, Rebecca better hurry up and get here, because Rebecca used to be in the office singing all the time, James. I'm trying to prepare my stories for the day, and she's back there like Pamela James from Martin. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Really? So you don't have to deal with stuff like that when you work from home. You get more done. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You know what it is, Ben? This is what it is. You remember, I don't know if you saw that image. The guy posted that picture of, this is my office for the next 8 hours, and he's in the tub with the laptop sitting across the thing. I think that's what's prompted all these people to think, oh, y'all need to come back in office. It don't matter what the hell I'm doing. I could be sitting here butt-ass naked. As long as I'm working and answering the phone and doing what I need to do, I'm making you money. How I'm making you money should not matter. If I'm sitting here and long as I'm working, that's all you care about. You see me logged in, you see emails going back and forth. It don't matter if I'm in a tub, if I'm outside, if I'm wherever the hell I am. As long as you make your money is getting made, that's all that matters. Don't try to comfort me because you can't do the same thing.
Well, see, that's the thing. They actually can. Man, listen, I've worked every kind of job, man. I've been a teacher. I've thrown trash. I've cut grass, and I've worked with a tech company. I went public with a tech company. It was a fun ride. Can I tell you, their starting place is work from home. And their starting place is actually, it's take as many vacation days as you want, so long as you get your work done. Nobody checked over our shoulders. Nobody made us punch a clock. I mean, everything was literally, as long as I got my task done, I was able to go on vacation as much as I wanted to. And it just shows you that there's two different class of workers here, man. Like, we're all workers, we're all laborers, but there's those who have the ability and the flexibility to live their life as they see fit, and they're treated accordingly. The rest of us, because I've worked in both worlds, the rest of us are forced and herded into these warehouses where they exert control over us, and we have to ask permission to go to the bathroom.
Like we get.
So anyway, people said they're not going back to that shit no more. They done with that. They are not going back to y'all warehouses. A couple other stories here that I want to go over before we take a break. I want to go back to Georgia Fort's coverage in Minnesota. There was a Minneapolis protest in honor, or rather standing with Palestine, Minneapolis shows solidarity with Palestinians in an emergency protest amidst Israeli raids on the Al-Aqsa Mosque and attacks towards Palestinian worshipers during the holy month of Ramadan. Now, we haven't been doing much coverage of this, but this was a flashpoint in Minnesota, Minneapolis specifically, and Georgia Ford got coverage. Let's take a look at it.
Before attacking the worshippers in Al-Aqsa, Israel killed 17 Palestinians just during Ramadan. 17 Palestinians were killed by Israel. At one point, they killed 6 Palestinians within a span of 48 hours.
So we're out here protesting against Israeli aggression against Al-Aqsa Mosque, which was desecrated and continues to be desecrated by Israeli forces during the holy month of Ramadan.
نفديك يا أقصى بالدم نفديك يا أقصى Gaza, don't you cry. Gaza, don't you cry. Palestine will never die. Palestine will never die.
I don't think Palestinians should have extra rights. I'm not asking for those. I just want them to be treated like human beings. So imagine a mosque being invaded and attacked by hundreds of armed thugs. Oh, yeah. Now imagine that happening to a church. Imagine that happening to the Vatican. Imagine that happening at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. And what would your reaction be? We just want that same reaction.
One of the things that we saw with Ukraine is that people can care about issues that are not in the U.S. They can care about issues that are overseas that don't directly impact them. And so we're saying, hey, if you can care about the Ukraine, then you can care about Palestine. And especially, again, considering the fact that the U.S. plays a pivotal role in Israeli occupation with the funding of $3.8 billion annually.
No more violence, no more crimes. No more violence, no more crimes. Israel out of Palestine. Israel out of Palestine.
Israel is in a losing battle. Wallahi, I'm not just saying this. I'm not bluffing. All right? We have Palestinians resisting against one of the most powerful armies in the world with rocks, and they were able to drive out Israeli soldiers from Al-Aqsa. Israel is in a losing battle in the public image, and so they are desperate, and they're doing everything that they can to stifle Palestinian resilience.
Shout out to Georgia Ford for being there and getting that footage and that coverage there in Minneapolis of an emergency protest standing in solidarity with the people of Palestine. James, I don't know if you remember that episode that we covered. It was about a year ago, and we're speaking with the sister there from Palestine, and forgive me, her name escapes me, but a bomb went off in the middle of that interview.
Oh, right, man.
That was, if I'm not mistaken, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that was tied to the attacks on the same mosque over a year ago.
Same mosque.
So the same mosque, yes. Okay.
Wow.
So we'll be keeping, and so you know. Go ahead,
Al-Aqsa Mosque it's like a focal point. It's one of their most significant places of worship, and because it's, I believe, I don't know the map by heart, but I believe it's in the center or right in the heart of Jerusalem, and so this is not a coincidence that they're doing this on Ramadan, during Holy Holiday.
And I love, I when that brother in the video said, I'm not asking for extra rights or special treatment. He said, can you imagine this happening at a church? No, I can't. To be quite honest with you, I simply cannot. Can you imagine this happening at the Vatican? No way in the world this happens at the Vatican. But had it happened at any of these places, what would be our reaction? And I think the just thing is to have the similar reaction to this in that same way. So shout out to Georgia for getting that coverage and sharing it with us. Vice President Kamala Harris tested positive for COVID-19. On April 26th, the vice president's office announced that Harris had tested positive for COVID-19. According to her press secretary, Harris will isolate and continue to work from the vice president's residence. The press secretary, Kirsten Allen, said due to their respective recent travel schedules, Harris hasn't been in close contact with the president or the first lady. CNBC is reporting that the vice president is the highest ranking Biden administration official to have contracted COVID. The president, despite coming into contact with those who later tested positive, has not yet caught COVID. Both the president and vice president are vaccinated and boosted. So we are still in a pandemic, man. Still in the pandemic. Shifting gears really quickly to one more story.
Hold on, before you get there, it was a pregnant pause for a reason, Benjamin.
Oh no,
because
oh boy,
how Kamala got COVID? She don't ever go nowhere. But you know, I digress. On to the next story. You in the house? Ain't never. You know what? Never mind. I love you, Kamala. But how? House is VP. I don't. Okay, let's go.
I didn't say it, but I'll stand by my man who did. I got your back. I got your six. Joe Manchin. This clip right here, I really wanted Rebecca to be in, but we'll bring it back when she gets here. Joe Manchin says he's concerned about voting rights in this country. Okay, I'm not going to go on a soliloquy describing him. Let's just play this clip of Joe Manchin saying the country has a lot of work to do to ensure voting rights access, and says that he is particularly concerned about it. Let's take a listen in.
Sir, on voting rights, I've always believed that healthy democracy depends on a voting system that is accessible, free, fair, and secure. While history is going to tell us that we've come a long way in ensuring all individuals, regardless of their race, sex, or political affiliation, have the ability to cast their vote, we can all agree that we still have a lot of work to do. I'm particularly concerned about the recent opinions and rulings that seem to undercut decades of established legal precedent under the Voting Rights Act.
You know what's particularly disgusting about this clip is that Joe Manchin is the individual, the key star of the filibuster standing in the way of voting rights being protected, specifically protected. So it is the situation where the villain, the blood-drenched villain in the movie, is standing in the temple saying, I'm so sorry, we have to make sure that we protect everyone from the violence that villain created. Well, in this story, Joe Manchin is the villain. He is the one, along with his bestie, Kirsten Sinema. They are the ones who are standing in the way of voting rights being protected, and yet he has the nerve, the unmitigated gall, the caucasity to stand there and say that it's the top of his concern, James.
A Republican in Democrats' clothing.
Yep. Might have a couple of sheets in his clothing basket. Anyway, I digress. Moving on.
Benjamin said it. I didn't, but I stick beside my man.
I'll go. That's a hill I'll die on that one, James. You take the Kamala hill. I'll take the Joe Manchin hill, man.
All day.
I know somewhere in that man's family lineage is a Klan robe or two. The way he's carrying on, you can't tell me that somebody in his family ain't been at a lynching and then go to Sunday school. Come on. Joe Manchin, worried about voting rights, my ass.
His family members in that scene in Django Unchained. You know what scene I'm talking about? They out on the hill the first time they put the mask on. Oh, yeah. This people's one of them. He's one of them. He's just looking down the hill.
Speaking of other ones of them, because you said he's a Republican in Democrats' clothing, let's talk about his colleague, Representative Cawthorn, Madison Cawthorn, who yesterday was dressed in you said the negligee just wasn't fitting right, correct? That was the problem. It wasn't that he was wearing a negligee, it's that he just wasn't wearing it right. Well, now he's gone thug life now, and Madison Cawthorn got caught with a gun at the airport. From North Carolina. He was cited for having a gun at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport. This is the second time Cawthorn has been discovered with a gun at an airport, and he could face fines up to $13,000. It was loaded.
Wait, hold on. He had the gun at the airport, trying to board the plane, loaded, and all he can face is fines up to $13,000.
You said it right, Dwayne. Yeah. So, now, anybody else would have been put on that no-fly list. So.
No-fly list would have been sitting under the jail.
Right. Second time.
Yep. Man,
exactly. Second time offense. And so I don't know if he's trying to juxtapose the negligee life with thug life. Doesn't matter. All I'm saying is, how do you get away with this? Twice. And only $13,000? The math ain't.
I honestly think he's trying to run for office off of this type of stuff. I think that it's a calculated move and decision. And the privilege that assuming that he's not going to get arrested, that's just another.
It's got to be.
That's
political.
a whole nother
It's got to be
level.
political privilege on that, because I don't even think this is white privilege, because I don't think this. You get random Jim Bob, Jimmy Crack Corn from Bethesda, Georgia, come up with a loaded gun. His ass is going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He'll make it to jail alive. I'd be dead. You'd be dead. All black folks be dead. But everybody else is going to be arrested. Remember the guy in the Atlanta airport who mistakenly had a gun, and that gun mistakenly fell out and went off. They tracked that man down, and that man is going to serve some time. Obviously, because that's the system that we have. It's set up that way, but not for politicians, apparently.
Yes,
we have a visitor.
Man. Well, that said, we have now coming to the stage.
Why you say it like that, Ben? Put
your hands together.
Ben?
Hold on.
No. Put your hands together and show your love. I was about to do the Steve Harvey thing.
Before we do that, there was a clip to go with that Cawthorn story. Let's watch
that clip real quick.
Oh yeah, okay.
3 sources tell our team that U.S. Representative Madison Cawthorn was cited for having a gun at Charlotte Douglas Airport this morning. Now, according to the TSA, a 9mm handgun was discovered at checkpoint D. The TSA declined to identify the person, but sources say 3 of them, that it was Cawthorn. It's unclear if he'll face any criminal charges for this. A spokesperson for CMPD would not immediately comment. This is not the first time that a gun has been discovered on Cawthorn at an airport, though. We know in February of 2021, TSA found a handgun on Cawthorn's carry-on bag at Asheville Regional Airport. Cawthorn did not face any criminal charges for that incident.
No
charges.
No charges. The rest of us.
Them hoops is big. They about to weigh your head down, girl. Do you hear me? I love it, though.
The queen has returned.
Not as big as my head is. It's a very balanced situation.
Rebecca, your head is not that big, Rebecca. Your head.
Now, I will say, I think I say this all the time on the show. Like, I have a lot of hair, so it gives when I was bald, because I had shaved my head off before in my life, and I realized I ain't got no head in the bag. Ain't no head in the bag. All this time I thought I did, but honey, I ain't got no head in the bag. Nothing. Nothing.
You just like the flat head?
That's where I stopped for me.
Right, Dwayne. I think that's what it was. That's
popping in the back of the head.
Because my head is actually, if I cut my beard off, y'all, my face is really round. Like my head is like really round like a globe. And it takes me to cut my beard off for everybody to see it. That's why I don't say this thing down there. So y'all will never see it.
Round, I love a good round face. You see, I mean, I love my face. I have like a long face, long head. Right. So when I do like my ponytails and stuff, it's just really long. Like, like the Kelly Rowlands of the world, like those people. It's just long face, right? But I think, everybody has a nice shape. Ben has like he's a round head too.
Glober. I'm a glober. I'm flat.
Yeah. Oh, the head? I'm talking about the face. Now Ben's head.
I'm what's the official name of the alien of the
WAP head?
No, the scary aliens from the movie, the anthropomorph or whatever. That's the kind of head I got. Yeah.
You got the alien. Turn to the side, Ben. Look. Oh, okay.
No, man. No, Ben got a hit on him. We all got.
Hey, look here, Bambi. Now wait a minute. I wasn't gonna tell you.
That's what I was thinking of. They called me Bambi in college. So they called me Bambi in college because we all went. I think we talked about this on the show. We all went.
Xenomorph. Thank you, Tigers.
Xenomorph.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I'm in the Eeyore, any horse-like animal. That's what I got.
I used to call her Inspector Gadget.
Like Meg the Stallion.
Oh yeah.
I hate when they do that to her. Every time she laughs, they make the horse noise. But my friends did that to me in middle school. If I would start talking, they'd be like, they would do that to me.
No,
it's not that funny, Blaine. And then I was really tall and skinny, and then I had no body, but I used to look like I was walking forward, so it always looked like I was galloping.
What Mike Epps say? Bevo Lottie got more head than you got body.
That's what I was. That's what it was for me back then.
Oh, so, merciful Jesus.
And you learn to just grow into all of those features, and then everybody be on you. So I got no problems in my lifetime. But
man, I love Rebecca come in and just literally. It don't even matter what we talking about. She just takes it to 12. Rebecca. I love it. Oh my God.
But I hope that you guys have been having a great Wednesday. And
we've been holding it down
Cawthorn?
For you.
Cawthorn.
Who was that?
Cawthorn is the guy we just covered him yesterday. He was the one with the who had the picture of him in the negligee, which was fine, whatever. It's just like James said, it was improperly fitted. It just was a bad fit.
It wasn't.
I haven't seen. I don't know who. I haven't heard this story.
He's a Republican congressperson from South Carolina, or is it North Carolina, David?
North Carolina.
This was him on Monday. Right, no problem. I mean, cool. Like he's having the time of his life.
Well, it's not actually Monday. It was like before.
Right. Well,
Congress, but it came out over the weekend.
Figuratively speaking, this was him on Monday, and then this go to what's next on Tuesday. On the next day, he was coming out thug life. Got caught with a gun at the North Carolina Charlotte airport. But all he's going to face is fines up to $13,000. No criminal charges as of yet.
He was at the. He probably was at the. He's at the Capitol on January 6th.
He is definitely
9 times out of 10.
Is he a January 6th-er?
He is a 6th.
Yes, he was. He goes along with Marjorie Taylor Greene and
that's
the whole
best.
Crazy crew.
Okay,
whatever.
so he. I just want to know his importance because he looked familiar. He almost looks like one of the people also who was, trying to not have Ketanji Brown.
No,
he looks like those people, but look, because they gotta look. They gotta look.
They do have a look.
There's features on those people. January
like
6th, that same day, they were sitting in front of Ketanji trying to call her all kinds of disrespectful names. Had her up looking. They gotta look. Okay. Anyway,
very much Doug funny.
Right. Well, I like Doug funny, but they gotta look. They gotta look. Anyways, I just said that to say I don't know that man, but just looking at him, and I hate to say we could judge a book by its cover, but anything y'all tell me about that man, I'm gonna believe.
You gonna believe it?
I'm gonna believe it. I was gonna believe it.
I was gonna try to go down a couple lists of things that we could say about him, but I don't think we can make up anything that's worse than what he really is. So we digress. We'll
so, I mean, if he's a cross-dresser, that's not a problem. Like you said, Bubba, it just wasn't given. His outfit just wasn't given. I don't know if he was doing that to be
James. I've got to research it. I'm gonna have to research it now because you dropped it a couple times.
Man, just look up the definition. Don't look up pictures. Just look up definition.
Okay, just definition. Okay, all right.
Definition of what?
So he's dropping Easter eggs in the show.
Is that
I think
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's not for. I think it's for.
It's not for the straights, okay?
Anywho, his cross.
There you go. I didn't know how to say it. There you go.
If he's a cross-dresser, that's not the issue. But I know that people that majority of the people that are that are conservative thinkers or are January 6ers, they are not about anything LGBTQIA plus. So I'm not sure if
at all
it's like that for mockery or for whatever the case.
That's a good
some
question.
of them times they do that. They go out. They be doing. I don't know what the reason was, but to juxtapose that with the. I guess what he was caught with. He's probably pro guns. I'm pretty sure he's pro. He's probably all
Absolutely.
of that. So it all falls in line for that.
Yep.
So
all that was a campaign ad. That's all that was.
Y'all think they caught him with the gun in his stockings like he was one of them Wild West floozies?
Jesus Christ.
And a little garden belt thing in the way.
You got to make sure see when you say stuff like that, you got to put your and it don't even matter. He's a bald black man, so they're going to think he anyway.
All you got to think is Kevin Samuels' mindset, and you got Dwayne right there.
Wait a minute. Damn, Dwayne.
High value man. That's what you got right there. That's what you got.
Dwayne, you might have to cut on your camera and defend yourself on that one, bro.
No, because I believe that he probably liked some of Kevin Samuels.
Man, I haven't watched no Kevin Samuels clips in forever. And before, when I was watching them, I was watching them just for laughs. Same thing I do on Twitter. I go on there just for laughs.
You still watch them?
Not no more. But.
Oh,
No,
I want to do
I'm
these
saying
after
that.
party ones here. Those 2 after party ones, I want to do them in the live show.
Which one? The one about the one that I had
Well, the
dropped
C-SPAN
about?
caller.
No.
Well,
The C-SPAN one we can do. The other one we can't do publicly.
Why?
because of the music, right?
Yeah.
The copyright
What
issue.
music? The one on you talking about the one that I dropped for CMT about CMT?
No, that one we have ready for you.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll do all of them. Go ahead, Rebecca. It's in your hands, Captain.
Well, last night as I was up in the wee hours of the morning because I couldn't sleep, I got up because the spirit hit me in my shanana, and I got up to pray. And I got on Instagram after I prayed. That wasn't a good follow-up for me to do, but I couldn't sleep.
With the Lord, but okay.
So I got on to Instagram after I prayed, and I said, because you be friends with the celebrities in your head. So Monica, I'm like, why is she posting at this time of night? What's going on? So she actually posted about her being called out by He's actually a journalist or a reporter, and his name is Patrick Howley. And he, I guess, men with microphones, they got a podcast, you know what I'm saying? And so he went to discuss, and this was a few weeks earlier, maybe like a week or two ago, when the country music, what's the T stand for?
CMT is the TV.
Yeah.
Country
Okay.
Television,
CMT. So it was the Country Music Awards, though. CMT Country Music Awards. So, what we have, let's take a look at what Patrick Howley said first, and then we'll get to Monica.
This award show was really kind of a train wreck. There was a chick who was co-hosting it, and they said that she tested positive for the Rona. So let's take a look last night.
I know all of you were looking
I don't know who this
forward
black
to
guy is
seeing
who's hosting it. It's supposed to be country music. No offense. I mean, y'all have hip-hop and basketball. You know what I mean? It's like, just fly with your flock, bro. Not against you, but you're up here being like, the melanated people invented country music.
At the CMT,
We was making country music in Wakanda before Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard done stole the black man's country music. It's like, all right, bro. It's so angry. There were so many black people there, sorry to say, but like so many black celebrities who have nothing to do with country music. And it's like, why? No disrespect to the funky brothers of music. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire, Run DMC, etc. But I mean, like, country music's different. Country music's different. It's not Wakanda.
It's not Wakanda. It's not Atlanta. Country music, it's not Wakanda.
It's not Wakanda.
But that's funny. But Anthony Mackie is a well-known. I think isn't he going to be Captain America?
He played freaking Falcon in Marvel movies, and also is the new Captain America.
Thank you.
Okay,
so
sorry,
to disrespect him, and whites, they love the Captain America and all that good Marvel stuff. They love that stuff, so they know exactly who he is. Talking about who is this, and then to say who is this black dude. But that's not the issue here. The performer was Monica. And so, as I'll read what she wrote last night when my shanana woke me up and I went to the gram after prayer, she took to Instagram. She said, "I've never been more motivated, Patrick Howley. Although your feelings are likely shared by some, it's not by the masses. I have an all-star legendary team of true country artists that are currently working with me that would beg to differ because of the genuine hearts." And then she said, "I shared the stage with Jimmy Allen and Little Big Town, who we know are huge country music artists. This was the first of many times that you will see me. I see you caught that my skin is melanated, but you missed that it was tough." Monica, I could hear her saying that for sure. She said, I'm rooted in the word. I'm rooted in the word and built to last. See you soon, or should I say, welcome to Wakanda. Gracefully. And then she says bows with Anthony Mackie. And so if Monica's actually working on a country music album, and she's been promoting that. Really? She will be doing country music. And so a lot of people who have country music. Let me start here. Historically, country music don't belong to whites. Historically, country music is the start of it was from melanated people, out of Wakanda. So and for a lot of country singers and artists, people who are true to the country music, they'll even give their props to the people who came before them and how the country music was taken and remixed and, to sound like it is. That's why when you hear country singers, there's a little twang in what their voice is. You don't hear that with regular white folks, but with the country music singers. Yeah, they got a little twang in there because it is something that was fashioned after Black artists and Black artistry. And so there are a lot of Black country music singers who just don't get the shine. I've listened to them. I've actually, here where I live, I've heard them being interviewed on the country music stations because it's real country out here. But for this man who is, and he actually is a reporter for, of course, like Fox News and all these other.
Well, that explains a lot.
Here's the thing. For him to be able to just be blatantly racist is not the shocker for me. It isn't. But white folks just really, they come in and take stuff and then believe that it's all theirs. And then they'll say, well, good example, Twitter. Twitter being where it is and what it is due to Black culture. If Black folks didn't get bored and get on there and start having true conversations with each other and calling out white supremacy, arguing with each other about different things of our culture, start posting pictures of our looks and having conversations surrounding that, now creating a space called Black Twitter, Twitter wouldn't be where it's at, right? And I can say that for sure. But then you have people like white folks who now want all the power and want all the credit. And so now they do things like make their commentary on there and buy it out and things like that. And here we are where this white reporter came out of nowhere. Never seen this white reporter before. And he had the nerve to disrespect Black presence at the Country Music Awards. And I hope that people rip him a new one and then school him on country music and how it was hijacked, colonized. And then this is we're giving what you see here. And
for him to say country music it's just different. It's not this. It's just different. How? Because you think it's supposed to be only white people? No, my brother. Do you know how many Black people are in country music these days and in topping these charts? You need to do your history, man, because it's a lot of Black people doing country music. American Idol, it has at least 3 or 4 Black people that are singing country music this season. Okay? Yeah. It's just like, y'all need to get over it. Y'all know they can stand it. Somebody just said it.
Babyface just did a song with an artist. Yeah, it was really nice. It's a country song. It's a country R&B song too, honey. Because country music is really R&B. But anywho,
it is.
But I was listening to, and I'm like, this Black country artist I have never heard of. Like, he's charting, but you won't hear him in groups like with people who are in country music. Nashville isn't going to be something that really blasts this artist for real. K. Michelle started off doing yodeling and country music. That's where her background is. Yep. So in her album, you'll hear her drop like 3 country songs often, and she always gives credits to the greats before her, Black ones and white ones. And so now I think this understanding that country music is just white is crazy to me, especially if you hear how they're singing. That doesn't come from regular white style of singing. That's not historically. That is something that comes from Black people. And
y'all can't tell me that Carrie Underwood don't have some Black somewhere in there. That's
with a hinge of soul. Yeah. Anyway, I say all this to say I don't like when these men, especially just men, get the mic, right, and get these mics and start these little shows and stuff, and just be loud and wrong. Girls and women is doing it too. They're doing it too. Hey, but something about these men grabbing the mic and just being loud and wrong. Hold on. And then the white ones, the white right-sided ones get on here and just be like Black, ER, Black, ER, Joe Rogan, Black, ER. That's it. That's all they do. Everything makes them mad.
It's true. You got the baby crying, Rebecca.
Sorry, beautiful baby.
I'm like, it's not all men, by the way, because goddamn, I think we do pretty good. The majority of us
different,
anyway.
But it's different over here. Like get on here, I say what I say. Now I'll drop the facts of the news, and then I'll have my say about it. But honestly, I said this before. Majority of the podcasts that go viral are black men saying something against black women. And then we see white people from the right who are grabbing the microphone, and anytime they say something that protects their whiteness or what they think is protecting their whiteness, and they're speaking against black people or supporting things that are clearly racist, prejudiced, they go viral. And then we see podcasts like Joe Rogan. Spotify gives him millions of dollars just to stand down on him saying ER. Hard ER.
Hard.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it beat them boys.
Boys.
Island boy.
It beats them.
Island boy.
I'm an island boy. Anywho, stop playing with me. Look, stop playing with country music, okay?
Okay.
Ask about it before you get on your mic. And Wakanda is a really beautiful place. A lot of people are trying to claim it. And Atlanta can't even claim Wakanda. It ain't Wakanda over here either. It's too much of a precious place, and with black powerful people who do really amazing things. And so you couldn't imagine colonizing that place. You just couldn't.
Right.
You just couldn't. So the Country Music Awards could never be Wakanda. However, we can definitely buy it back. Buy it black. We can definitely pull up. That's why they got Anthony Mackie at the forefront. They want to be inclusive all of a sudden because they understand that there will be a time that black folks will start creeping up and start critical race theory. They don't want to be a part of that number. So they was like, let's put a black man on the mic right now so that we can get right in front of it before they start putting out historical facts about white folks stealing songs, country songs.
Here it is, Rebecca. Here it is. What they mad at is that they came over here trying to gentrify hip hop music, R&B, and all our other shit. So now they get mad when we over here gentrifying country.
Shout out to the boy. Shout out to the boy, Lil Nas X.
Already ours. We can't gentrify something that was already ours. We allowed the artistry to be there. We said, okay, if you gonna sing, you gotta sing. Blue-eyed, blonde hair, you gotta sing. We just want to hear it coming from your soul. Okay, that's all we want to do.
But when they start imitating a little too much, it get on my nerves, to be honest with you.
Well, if you
they
can
say
sing,
imitation
you can
is
sing.
the highest form of flattery, but honestly, it's just annoying me.
If you can
All the
sing,
white
you can
supremacists.
sing. Honestly, I don't care if you're white, black. I don't care what you are. If you can sing,
Not when they politics, they on there singing the soul and preaching their hearts out black as they want to be, and they preaching white supremacy, and they, that's when I have a problem with it. But other than that, give me an Adele some singing any day. Shoot,
I have a problem with Adele's from the UK. They got a different kind of voice over there too.
I thought you were going to say they got a different kind of racism over there.
They do. No, they got a different kind of singing voice. I don't know. They could just it's something that they can sing out there. But it's something about the
said that.
Iggy Azalea, who's from Australia. And people have a problem with her
I forgot she's from Australia.
People have a problem with her doing the accent or the black accent. I never really had a problem with that because when I hear artists like, and I'm going to say Eminem, love and mean it, we don't hear him talking like the man that we just heard talking about the CMT
at all.
He just has it. He just who you're surrounded by. Now I know that Iggy Azalea's from Australia, but people had such a problem with her rapping in that voice. Yes. But then I heard the girl that does I Understood the Assignment. I had that. I thought she was black.
Yeah.
That's a white woman, white, completely white, and she is profiting off of this black accent and black. I went to go see her as well. She wears wigs, like Bad Baby. It's not Bad Baby. Is her name Bad? The little girl that you said,
Meet Me Outside. Meet Me Outside.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That little
she
girl,
can actually rap though.
Wigs. She wears the wig. She does the whole thing, and she's benefiting from it, right? She's benefiting from that whole thing.
Right. They can monetize our blackness. We can't.
We can't do it though. We can't use that. We can't. We out here. This is what we do. We wear the wigs. We don't wear the wigs. We have full lips. We got we have the accents. We have but for something
y'all have they have the butts. Remember when big asses were like anathema? Like, oh my God, her butts were so big.
Oh my God, now they have the booties. Now they have the booties. Same thing with the lips. The braids to the back. I said K. Michelle made a song called I Wish I Was a Kardashian So I Could Be Black. She said, put my face over Tupac, wear my braids to the back. Because I never heard that one. That is acceptable. And I love that song. And I hear it and I understand what she's saying. You know, hey baby. I hear what she's saying. And in this culture, no matter what we do, no matter where we are in it, this space that we're in, that man went viral for his commentary, right? White folks can get a mic and say the same exact things that we're saying. They don't even experience the same things that we're experiencing. That's why we make most of the news that we do, something that is either somebody talking against us so that we can step right before it and speak for our people from our experiences.
That's right.
But when a group of people who are, white are saying the same thing, it seems to be more grounded and more acceptable, more palatable for people to hear and to monetize.
That's right. It's the 5 heartbeats. Nothing but, remember they took them off the cover and put those dudes on the cover so they could sell it mainstream. It's still the same phenomenon. And I'm quite honestly kind of tired of it, to be honest with you, because I do not want to see blackness wrapped in white faces. No. I want blackness from where it comes from, right? From the original source. The thing is that the algorithm, the capital, the money, the structure, the infrastructure, the system, the policing, everything is structured to benefit whiteness in this country. So, Cash Me Outside, Lil Mama can go and become a millionaire, multi times over with that, with a black affect.
She just made.
But when you see a black person doing it, then,
She just made, I think, over $50 million from OnlyFans.
50 million.
Damn.
50 million.
50 million.
How much Tiger made?
I'm never gonna hate on a girl who I'm never gonna hate on a woman who and she's to me still a young girl growing into a woman, but I'm never gonna hate on these people taking advantage of their success to become all of this. But like I said, there are people who are doing the same thing in our space who get to just roll over in the bed, get on, put their camera on, and make money to support their whole life and things like that, who are white, who are saying what we're saying, who literally watch us to grab our talking points and utilize it on their channels and go back to bed. I have to do this, fight for our people, say stuff for people who look just like me and you, or have the conversations where we agree to disagree. Get off of this, hurry up and go get lunch so that I can cook it before I log in or log back in to my 9 to 5.
Well, all hearts and minds are clear. Moving on. I mean, not moving on, but like sit in it. Like we got about 2 minutes left before.
We got about 2 minutes left. So people who are watching the show right now, if you haven't, follow us on, and below is all of our Twitters. I need you guys to continue.
Don't follow me on Twitter. I ain't going to Twitter anymore. Y'all got that. Y'all keep that one.
I haven't
follow everywhere else though.
24 hours. You're not on Twitter no more?
I mean, I don't know. Whatever publishes through Twitter is automatic at this point. I ain't giving Elon Musk no more of my data.
Okay. No, I said I haven't seen you on Twitter in the last 24 hours. That's
I ain't gonna be on. You ain't gonna see me there no more.
But
I'm good.
But yeah, just follow us on Twitter. You guys can follow me on Instagram if you would like as well at These Songstress. Help us build our community. Help us build our platforms, and so that because we're going to be doing extra stuff on on the side as well, and we want you guys to follow all of that and to continue to help us push forward so that we can again be unchained and be able to do this for you guys every day and know that we're just not a monolith even here. There are so many things that we can do to help us grow and to help us build and sustain ourselves so that we can continue to do this with you guys every single day. So follow the show if you haven't already, and if you got here, please like, share, and subscribe even after we get off the air. Share it with the family members, share it with the friend. It's a vibe over here. Continue to help us push the platform. Love you guys, mean it. We have reached the end of the show. I don't know if you guys want to keep it live. I don't know if you want to take it to the after party. We got a few more things that we want to discuss, and we'll see you there at the after party. I don't know what y'all want to do. What y'all want to do?
We're following your lead, Karen. We're going to the after party, I guess. That's where we're going.
Okay, yeah, we're going to the after party.
We go.
Love you guys, mean it.
Finish what we started.
See you there. you. Hey, I'm gonna listen to that. I'm gonna listen to that later.
Right, Rebecca. All right, y'all. We thank y'all so much for tuning in today. We are going to the after party. So, if you're not a Patreon member, you can today. Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/the BPD show. Make sure that you have your ass in the place on Friday. The patron party is going down. Karaoke edition. Not want to miss it. Be there, be square. All right. Your affirmation for today is I am doing my best. That's my affirmation for the day. I am doing my best. So damn what everybody else say, I'm doing my best. All right, deal with it or get lost. All right, y'all, we love y'all. Mean it. We will see y'all in the after party. If not the after party, we will see y'all tomorrow.
We all want the same. We all want a meal in the safe. I want to live like I'm trying to reach enlightenment. Trail spill from my lips, feel big from the bib. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense. Cause you can lose life on this fast route.